Hello! We are finally back in the office, back to aircon. Oh, it's been freaking hot lately. The last video wear helmets some more. Hopefully our outdoor series has been interesting for you guys, especially in the latest video where we run through the visualization of a brand new landed build for our viewers. In fact, we have to give huge props to our editor. Very solid B-rolls and edits. Without him, we would be clueless and wouldn't be able to show you guys the vision. If you haven't seen it, you can catch the video in the description down below.
The three of us have been spending weeks under the sun, a lot of sweat and effort, okay? So do show us some love, but most importantly, we hope all our videos will be able to help you guys in some way, whether be it now or in the future.
Yes, and we will continue to try to be relevant. Of course, property prices will likely change along the way, but the good news is that most of the definitions, specifications, rules, concerns, and the problems of landed homeowners or potential buyers like yourselves will face should stay more or less the same. And that brings us to our discussion of the day. The first thing that comes to mind when people think about landed property is the purchase price. Maybe the down payment or maybe the monthly mortgage, and that's not wrong. In fact, I would agree that that is the most important. However, price is not everything. The reality is that price is often just the beginning of your concerns.
Yeah. So we meet buyers all the time who spend months comparing asking prices, negotiating discounts, and calculating whether they can comfortably service the monthly loan. But very few actually sit down and calculate what it costs to own a house over the next 10, 20, or even 30 years.
Yep. In reality, owning a landed property is a long-term commitment, and many of the costs only start appearing once you've collected the keys. I guess you can use the same analogy of buying a car and bringing it for regular servicing, but then sometimes when things go wrong, boom, you gotta cough up a lot more than expected. The thing is, for a vehicle, you can just change it as and when you want. But for a house, that is not the case. It's a bit more tricky, and not just because of SSD. This is a home you bought, a landed home, maybe a forever home for some of you. Cannot say change means change.
Yes. So today we are diving into a topic that every aspiring landed homeowner should know before taking that first step. And that is the hidden costs of owning a landed property in Singapore. Not just maintenance costs, but also the costs that come with renovating, upgrading, rebuilding, and maintaining a landed home over the years.
Some of these expenses can run into hundreds of thousands of dollars or even $1 million.
So if you've ever dreamt of owning a landed home, hopefully this episode will help you realize what it actually costs beyond the transacted price. Owners who are currently staying in landed homes, you can also share with us in the comments below if we missed out on any, or if there are other hidden costs that you've encountered that gave you hell. So without further ado, let's start with something many conveniently forget about after they pay it, and that is the stamp duty.
Somehow buyers only get reminded of this when they want to sell, and then they start to calculate and then deduct this, deduct that, deduct the agent commission, interest to know net how much they will get back.
But on a serious note, for a $5 million landed property today, you're looking at approximately $239,600 in buyer's stamp duty. That's in cash or CPF on top of your 25% down payment.
A lot of money, and that's a cost that disappears the moment you complete the purchase. Then you have your conveyancing and legal fees as well, maybe about $3,500, $4,000. But yeah, this is something that you just gotta pay. It is what it is and can't be helped if you want to buy a property in Singapore. So just keep that in mind.
So one thing we always tell buyers is to make sure that they don't stretch themselves entirely just to meet the price. We've seen buyers so focused purely on whether they can afford a $5 million house, then only realizing after that they may still need $100,000 to set aside for renovation, furnishing, and other upfront costs. From elation to dejection. And that's exactly why we chose this topic for this episode. So hopefully we can help add some food for thought if you're thinking if this move is for you or not.
All in all, whatever property you set out to buy, having some financial buffer after the purchase completion makes home ownership much less stressful. The house shouldn't leave you cash poor on day one. The reason for that is most resale landed homes are not bought in move-in condition, especially older landed houses. A cosmetic renovation alone can easily cost $100,000 or more.
And that's assuming the existing structure is still in reasonably good condition. If you're buying an older house that hasn't been renovated for decades, you may discover waterproofing issues, aging electrical wiring, deteriorating plumbing, or structural repairs once renovation begins. A major renovation can exceed $300,000.
And that's one of the biggest differences between landed homes and apartments. Every house has lived a different life. Some has been meticulously maintained, others may look perfectly fine during the viewing, but the problems may only reveal themselves after. And that's why it's called hidden costs.
Yeah, so next comes the biggest recurring cost for most owners, the mortgage. So let's assume a $5 million property with a 75% loan. That's a $3.75 million mortgage. At around 1.5 to 2% interest rate, interest payments alone can be around $55,000 to $75,000 annually during the early years. More if your eligible loan tenure is less than 30 years. Many people focus on the monthly installment, but they don't realize how much interest they are actually paying.
Another thing many buyers tend to overlook is that interest rates don't stay the same forever, they're always fluctuating. A small increase in interest rates can significantly increase your monthly repayment, especially when you're borrowing several $1 million.
That's why it's important not to buy based on today's interest rate alone. Always ask yourself whether you'll still be comfortable servicing the loan if interest rates move higher in future. Don't forget it was only just a while that interest rates were considerably higher.
Let's talk about maintenance costs next. Many may be familiar with the monthly MCSD cost of condos that stay relatively flat, especially in the early years. The difference for landlord is that any maintenance cost is on you, the owner, to bear, which is another level that may open up a can of worms.
Even for something as simple as aircon servicing, it all adds up. A condo owner might have 3 or 4 aircon units, a landlord owner might have 6, 8, or even 10. Annual servicing costs can range from $1,000 to $2,000, and unlike apartments where you may only cool 1 or 2 bedrooms, landlord owners often cool multiple floors. Family members may be using different rooms at different times, and larger living spaces naturally require more air conditioning to keep comfortable. And besides servicing, older systems eventually need replacement, and replacing multiple condensers and fan coil units at the same time can become another sizable expense.
And then you have pests. Rats, roaches, mosquitoes are more common than you think in a landed estate. The worst of the worst are termites. Annual pest contracts can cost around $300 to $1,000, while major termite treatment can exceed $5,000. Besides, termites aren't something you want to discover too late. Unlike a leaking tap, termite damage often happens quietly over months or even years. Horrible creepy crawlies that destroy your house quietly. Plus, they aren't easy to spot at the same time. By the time you notice wooden shavings around the house, your timber flooring or decking, built-in carpentry, or even roof structures may have already been affected. The question is, how far have they spread to?
Having a nice garden is pretty to look at, isn't it? Some landlords have front garden, back garden, side garden, planters, roof terraces. We know many homeowners with green fingers who do enjoy gardening themselves, but there are also others who prefer engaging professionals regularly, as it can be pretty tough work. And the larger the garden, the more mature and aesthetically pleasing the landscaping, the more maintenance it requires.
The same goes to water features in your home, especially for homes with a swimming pool. You have to budget for cleaning, chemicals, and pump servicing, whether you use it or not.
Technology also evolves quickly, and security systems are now essential in homes. Nowadays, you have CCTVs, alarm systems, biometric smart locks, smart home systems, and home automation devices. But they won't stay current forever. As technology advances, these systems can become outdated and may need to be upgraded or replaced after a few years.
Home lifts are increasingly in demand for landed homes today. Because let's not kid ourselves, we'll all prefer having a lift than not having one, especially when living together with elderly in the house. Having a lift could save you that one more move and be future-proof.
Leaves are more commonly seen in rebuilt homes with 3 or 4 levels, including an attic, mezzanine, and basement. Leaves are fantastic for multi-generational families, but the leaf itself is only part of the cost. Like any mechanical system, regular servicing helps reduce breakdowns and prolong its lifespan. And if a major component needs replacement outside warranty, repair costs can come as an unpleasant surprise.
Not forgetting, landed homes consume more electricity and water. Coupled by the larger floor plate, you have more lights, more bathrooms, more appliances, EV charging, and the maintenance of gardens and swimming pool will all contribute to a higher monthly utility bill compared to apartment living.
What we've just gone through with the regular maintenance works, that's expected, and that's already a long list. Now let's move on to the heftier, bigger ticket maintenance items. Do you and your families paint the internal parts of your house before Chinese New Year? Guess what? For landed homes, Singapore's hot sun and frequent rain take a toll on external paintwork. Over time, paint would fade, crack or peel, especially on exposed facades. Repainting isn't just for aesthetics, it also helps protect the building from moisture and weather damage.
Every landed homeowner eventually gets a quote for painting and wonder if the contractor accidentally added another zero behind it. Internal painting works may cost $5,000 to $10,000. External painting can easily cost $10,000 to $30,000, especially when scaffolding is required.
Roof leakage is one of the most common issues in landed homes, especially in older homes. Water leaks can travel quite a distance before they become visible indoors, and the problem is the source isn't always directly above the stain you see on the ceiling. Waterproofing works can range from a few $1,000s to over $20,000, and roof repairs can add up a fair bit.
And it's not just the roof leakages, you also got things like leaking pipes, faulty water heaters, electrical circuit board issues, autogate motors, and drainage issues. The good news is most of these aren't major expenses on their own. The challenge is that they almost never happen all at once. One year you may be fixing a leaking pipe. The next, you may be replacing a water heater or repairing the auto gate. And before you know it, you may have spent a few $1,000s just keeping everything in good working condition. It's all part of owning a landed home, together with roof repairs like what we've mentioned in our earlier video. When you buy a landed home, do it once and do it good, and these things can be off your minds for a good number of years.
And this is one hidden cost that many people do not know about and only discover after they've purchased their landed property, and that is asbestos. Many older landed homes built before the 1990s in Singapore may contain asbestos-containing materials, commonly found in old roofing sheets and ceiling boards. If you're buying an older landed property, this is definitely something worth checking before budgeting for renovations. Not every older home has asbestos, but if it does, you can't simply tear it out like normal building material.
The key thing to note is that this material is banned. It is harmful to us. The removal of this material needs to be done by a licensed contractor following strict safety protocols. Full-on gas mask mode. Doesn't matter if you are simply renovating or even tearing down to rebuild, you will need to engage such a contractor to remove.
And the cost involves surveying the extent of asbestos present in the property, and it adds up depending on the amount found. And this means you could be looking at a significant expense before your actual renovation works even begin. These are the kind of costs that don't usually make the headlines, but they can slowly add up over the years. And here is where things get interesting. Many landed homeowners don't just maintain their homes, they eventually upgrade them too.
First up, you have your renovation works. These can range from a few $1,000s for minor touch-ups to $300,000 or more, depending on how extensive the works are. But that's assuming the existing house is already in move-in condition and the current layout suits your family needs. If not, you're likely looking to do an A&A or reconstruction, and the cost can increase very significantly.
One of the reasons people love landed homes is flexibility, and unlike apartments where the layout is largely fixed, landed owners often have opportunities to customize and improve the property over time. Maybe your children have grown older and everyone needs their own room, Or maybe your parents are moving in and you need a ground floor bedroom. Or perhaps you're working from home and want a proper office. Some owners extend at the rear, others build an attic, install a home lift, or create larger entertainment spaces. A&A works today can easily cost $500,000 or more.
Reconstruction projects typically can range from 1 million and above, depending on size and specifications.
We've also seen buyers intentionally purchase older homes with rebuilding in mind from the very beginning. In these situations, they aren't paying for the existing house, they're really paying for the land and the opportunity to build their dream home. Full rebuilding is a different ballgame altogether. For typical interterrace today, construction costs alone can easily exceed $1.5 million. Semi-detached and detached houses can go significantly higher.
Every project is different, so it's also important to consult professionals before deciding whether A&A, reconstruction or rebuilding makes the most financial sense to you.
And next up, we have professional fees that hardly anyone budgets for. Firstly, we have architect fees. These consultants don't just prepare drawings, they coordinate with one another, ensure the design complies with regulations, and help guide the project from planning to completion. Every landed project involves many moving parts, so having experienced professionals often helps avoid costly mistakes later on.
Depending on the scope of works, you'll typically need a structural engineer to carry out structural calculations and ensure that the building complies with engineering requirements.
Mechanical and electrical engineers may also be required to design and coordinate electrical, plumbing, air conditioning, and other building services.
Before construction begins, you will also need a surveyor for site measurements and boundary verification.
And of course, there are submissions to the relevant authorities such as the likes of URA, BCA, and other agencies where required. Each project is different, but these professional services, submission costs, and regulatory approvals are all expenses that many first-time landed owners don't factor into their budget.
Lastly, labour costs have increased significantly over the past few years. Rising manpower costs and construction costs have made rebuilding substantially more expensive than, say, before COVID. Material prices have also fluctuated significantly. Steel, concrete, timber, and imported finishing materials all affect the overall construction budget. And that is why quotations received today may look very different from those issued just a few years ago.
Hearing every single expense listed out might sound a little intimidating, but our goal isn't to scare you away from buying a landed home. It's to help you guys make a more informed decision and budget for things that many buyers don't realize until after they have made the purchase. In fact, if you ask most landed homeowners, many will tell you that they would happily do it all over again.
You get more privacy, more flexibility, more space for your family, and in many cases, stronger long-term land value. It is a very different lifestyle compared to apartment living, and that makes it all worthwhile.
The key is simply going in with realistic expectations, budget for the purchase, but also budget for ownership. Build in a contingency fund so that unexpected repairs don't become financial stress.
When you understand the full picture, you'll make better decisions about which house to buy, how much to renovate, and whether is it worth rebuilding in the future or not. So when someone says they bought a $4 million landed home, the real question isn't whether they can afford the purchase, it is whether they can comfortably afford the ownership.
So if you're thinking about making the move to a landed home and found this episode helpful, do help us to like and subscribe for more landed content. And if you would like to explore your options, just drop us a message or call. We would love to help you find your dream home. And we'll see you guys in the next episode.
Bye.